What is going on, guys? JFC here, and let's talk about, there's a fly in here. Let's talk about FIFA 23 gameplay. I played like 75 games, I believe, of FIFA 23. I'm up to like Division 5 already. I've qualified for weekend league, so I've been putting in a lot of time into FIFA 20. I've been putting a lot of time into FIFA 23, trying to basically just get this game down, right? This game is a lot different than FIFA 22, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And there are things that I really do like about FIFA 23. There definitely are. I think there are a lot of positives to take away right now, but I think there are a few things that do scare me a little bit. I will get into those in a little bit. First, I think the most important thing to talk about, really, in terms of like biggest changes, is just pace in general. Pace is pretty much completely nerfed. I think past about 65 pace, I think you're fine. I think the person in this game is using Casemiro. I literally could not tell the difference between Casemiro and like somebody with 80 pace. Like, I genuinely could not tell. I know that there's like the lengthy acceleration types now and the control acceleration types now, but I think all in all, I think that does deserve kind of a positive in my opinion. I think that fans have been clamoring for a game where pace doesn't matter as much for a long period of time. And I understand that can be annoying when you're on a breakaway and, you know, you can get caught up to by a center back with 70 pace and your striker has 90 and you're getting caught up to. I understand that can be annoying, and trust me, I get annoyed by that too. But at the same time, like, you have to kind of take that once in a while to be able to use players that you usually can't use in FIFA. I just think we need a game that pace just is secondary. I think it's just like an option for you, but it's not a necessity. I think the last 5-6 FIFAs, that has not been the case. I think FIFA, I want to say 16 was the last one where it was like, you can use center backs with like 60 pace. And it's not the end of the world. Like, you can notice they're slower, but it's not the end of the world. That's literally like 6 or 7 FIFAs ago. So it's just like, I'm glad that we finally have a game like that where you don't necessarily need the pace. And I think that that's a good thing in my opinion. So let's talk about the next positive, and that is shooting. I think shooting in the box it's pretty much, I want to say, close to perfect. I think it's going to be even better when players have higher finishing. Right now, many people are using like guys with like high 80s finishing or like low 90s finishing. Once you get guys with like that max 99 shooting, I think finishing in the box is going to be like almost perfect. I love how you can do certain like different angled shots this year. You can go near post, you can go far post, you can do finesse shots in the box, you can do long shots now thanks to the power shot. There's a lot to like about shooting this year. I think shooting is a very shooting has gone in a very positive direction even compared to last year. Last year shooting was pretty good, but I think this year it's even better. And that will relate to one of the negatives we'll talk about in a little bit, but first I'm gonna get through the positive. The next positive is manual defending. And manual defending is not perfect in this game. Do not get me wrong. There's still times when the ball is going to go directly through you. Like, it's just going to. So it's not perfect by any means, but what I will say is that it's better than most FIFAs have been. Like, pressing circle, you got to press circle to make the tackle, or B on Xbox. It's much better, I think, than the past few FIFAs. I think that manual defending is good. But the problem with that, though, is I guess that's kind of all the positives I have, I think, for the game right now. Now, those are 3 good positives. I think that, like, if you would have told me before the FIFA 23 came out that those would be your positives, I'd be like, holy shit, that's a huge part of the game. And if you kept everything else the same, like, I would love that, but there's just a few things that are not the same that I think need some addressing if we want to have a fun experience of FIFA this year. And the first one is, I know it's, like, obvious right now, but the dribbling does need to be different. I think that I like the fact that the dribbling changed. I don't mind that part. So it's just like right now, I don't know if it's just because players have lower dribbling, but like I've been using guys who have higher dribbling and it's still really tough to do it. Like there's no left stick dribbling in the game basically at all. You can turn one direction and then pass. You can't turn multiple directions. You can't fake going one way and going back the other. That's done for. That's a thing of the past. And the way to dribble in this game pretty much is using the R1 or L1 button, and that's still good. I'm glad they kept that the same at least. Like R1 and L1 dribbling is still good, and you can do skill moves pretty swiftly, but the problem with that is the next con is the defending line is so deep. I'm gonna pause this gameplay here once. Let's fast forward to like, I mean, this right here, like, there's a back four and there's 3 guys here, and trying to work your way around this is really tough. This is why like skill moves in this game is kind of not pointless, but very close to it. Like there's certain skill moves that are pretty decent. The back line is so deep again this year, and that is what I think has the potential right here to kill this game, because when players get really high defending stats, is going to be so difficult to break down, even when, because you can't dribble. There's no dribbling between anybody. You have to pass, and AI interceptions are very good in this game. This is going to be really difficult, and I'm worried. I know that shooting is very good in the box, which is very good, but this is the thing I'm most worried about, is that once players get really high defending stats, there's going to be a lot of nil-nils past halftime because of this. It's just this back line is so deep, and trying to break through it is so hard. Another thing too with defending that is a negative. The positive is like you can do it manually, I think, this year, but at the same time, auto defending still exists and it's still very good. Like I've had times where I'm just running into the CPU. Like the CPU is literally running into me. Like the CPU, I'm playing co-op. So it's not even second man press. You can't second man press in co-op. I'm running with somebody, and all of a sudden I'm looking at the 2 guys who they're controlling, and they're like behind me or they're in front of me or wherever, and the AI just bumps into me and wins the ball back. It's like they didn't even have to do anything for that. And that part's a little concerning too, is just that once players get higher defending stats, I'm worried that that is going to really just make it so hard to break somebody down. I just don't understand why we can't get a normal defensive line. I just don't understand that. That's why I played the PS4 version exclusively last year, because there was a normal defensive line. I know the gameplay didn't look as good. I know there was just a lot of stuff different, but that gameplay was so superior because you could score. You could literally play some decent football and score. Whereas last year on the PS5 version, you just couldn't do that. And this year you kind of can, because like passing is really nice sometimes. Now I left passing out because passing to me is like a positive and a negative. There's some things to like about it, and it's hard to tell with passing because a lot of players just don't have like max passing stats yet. It's difficult for me to see how good passing is. There's definitely through balls you can make that you could not make in previous years, which is a big positive to me because passing's kind of needed a little bit of a change, and it kind of got that last year. There were definitely some passes last year you could make that you probably couldn't in previous FIFAs. Also, at the same time, they're like, because passing's so important this year, you have to keep passing the ball, otherwise you're just gonna lose it. There has been times where like it's hard to tell if it's just because your players are lower on stats, but times when passes have gone very just like awry, very strangely awry as well. It's like hard to explain what I mean, but like I'm sure you've played the game to understand what I'm talking about. Passes sometimes just don't go to who you want them to, or just have a terrible trajectory. So it's hard to tell if that's just because of the stats or what it is. Because like I've been just looking back through my gameplay footage here, and there's like, once I got to Division 5, there's so many games that are 0-0 and 1-0 till halftime, and there's just not much scoring happening because it's just so hard to break a team down. No matter how good you are, that AI is better. That AI is going to stop you from scoring. And I think they tried to compromise that with like giving them really good shooting, which is important. But at the same time, I don't understand why we can't just have a normal defensive line. I just don't understand it. And the last thing I want to talk about is physicality. And I am really glad, I guess this is a positive. I should have probably mentioned this within the positives. I'm just glad that there's like more of a meta this year that revolves around like physicality. I think that you can actually hold up play a little bit now. Like you can shield a little bit, which is a huge positive. That's such a big part of real life football. We're talking Lukaku, Haaland, Dzeko. Like I'm just throwing out random names, but they all play with their back to the goal really well, and it's a nightmare for defenders to defend against because they're just shielding them off. Those center backs are also really strong, but they put their bodies in wonderful positions to hold off defenders and link up play with their midfielders and other attackers. And that is more of a thing this year, and I'm really happy to hear that. I'm really happy to see that, because that needs to also be a thing in FIFA. That has not been a thing, I think, since like FIFA 17, I want to say, was the last time big strikers were viable. I remember using Benteke in FIFA 17, and he was amazing because I would just hold it up with him. Now keep in mind, you couldn't just hold L2. You had to actually like move your joystick to put them in the right position. Like the center back was off to your right, you had to point your stick to your right. So it wasn't like it took no skill, but it just worked because it should work. And that to me is a big positive of this game. But all in all, right now, to sum my thoughts up, is that the big positive is the meta. The meta is to me, not pace. Players with higher physical. It's shooting really inside the box. Like that's kind of it. You know, that part of the meta I really do enjoy. And it's kind of like methodical build up a little bit. Like you do have to kind of like think while you play a little bit more this year. And that is a big positive to me of FIFA 23. But the negatives are worrying a little bit because the negatives are something that can kind of kill it. Like if the back line is going to be just immense again this year like it was last year, you've got like insane center backs who are literally almost work as like goalkeepers in a sense. That part has the potential to just really fuck the game up. Like it really does. And it sucks to say that because I'm really hoping EA somehow like convinces themselves to patch the back line a little bit and make it a little more free flowing. I don't know. It's definitely... It's going to be something. This game is the most different to any FIFA I can remember. And that is nice. That is very nice. And the dribbling, I understand that like you maybe wanted to nerf it. You didn't want to give people the left stick dribbling ability that they had last year. But I think there needs to be some form of it. I just don't think that this little of left stick dribbling makes sense. Left stick dribbling is one of the things that honestly took more skill than spamming skill moves. So that part I don't really understand. To me, left stick dribbling actually takes more skill than that. We'll see what happens with this first patch. I think the first patch is going to really be interesting to see what they do and see what feedback they listen to and what feedback they don't listen to. I know people say that the patch like kills the game every year. They always ruin it with the patch, but I actually don't think it's the patch. I'm pretty sure it's just like players getting better teams, understanding the game more, and then that in turn kind of shows the flaws of the game, rather than like the patch just ruins it all. I think that's not really the truth. It's gonna be, I'm excited for this year because I do think this has potential to be a great FIFA game. I actually think it does, but there's some things that need to change that probably won't. So I'm cautiously optimistic if that is a thing. I think that's a thing. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts down below because I'm very curious. I've seen a lot of positives. I've seen a lot of positive things about the game, and I've also seen like people who hate the game like absolutely hate this game. Like they like this is the worst game of all time, no debate. So let me know what you guys think down below. I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say. I love you all. I'll catch you in the next video very shortly. Peace.